companies known as Mount Kenya Gardens and also Meru Greens Horticulture. I started this as a civil servant. I was an extension agent with the Ministry of Agriculture after graduating from the university with agriculture engineering. And I was assisting farmers to procure water for irrigation, pump fence, overhead, uh, mm, obstruction by gravity through furrows, small channels, and the farmers ended up with a lot of vegetables that they could not take to the exporters. That's why I saw a gap, and I started now organizing farmers and linking them to markets. Least did I know that I'll end up being a major off-taker of what the farmers were producing. So we started off with, I used to organize them to give fresh exporters who are doing exports to Europe. And later on, we linked with an agro industry that was sterilizing green beans for the European markets. And I supported this company for 17 years with my smallholder farmers. And I would link these smallholder farmers to this giant processor because the processor would pay the farmers through me. I would train the farmers in agronomy, water management, acquisition of small loans, inputs and all that. And then when the crops were ready, I would again collect from the farmers. I teach them about the best grains, and then I transport to the processor. This was really not a walk in the park because working with smallholder farmers, thousands of them, sometimes you hear farmers calling you at the middle of the night that the farmers say 10 kilograms of beans have not been collected. And you can imagine it might be a distance of even 40 kilometers. So organizing the farmers in groups and also in buying centers was really a big problem, but we managed very well, and I would purchase from the farmers, but the recruited farmers, and then distribute or and deliver to this major processor. And I learned the skills in sterilization and also the journey to the market as I was supporting this processor. And today we managed to get our own processing facility, and we have a company, the Meru Greens Horticulture EPZ, that has a factory. It's a modern factory in this region that is now processing green beans for the European markets. And today what we are doing, we have completed the value chain from a supplier and organizer of farmers to now coming up with value addition and also scaling the markets. So we have completed the value chain. And what we used to do in the supply side, especially the primary production, where we had to ensure farmers did it right. The international standards, especially on good agricultural practices, the global gap, we are there to aid so that the environment is sustainable, there's no competition, there's no loss of topsoil, loss of water, there's no conflict with the wildlife, there's no conflict with the social setting, especially children being employed in the activities. So good agricultural practices, we had them last in our when we were supplying this big processor, And the same thing we are doing at the moment. So it is only a change from being a supplier to now being someone who has completed the value chain, and being able to command a journey to the market and also backward integration. This one we have perfected so well, and we have continued getting a lot of orders from Europe, especially for canned green beans in glass jars, in cans, and we are now 3 major processors in the country, and not in the country, in Africa, 1 in Madagascar, 2 in Kenya. There's one that has come up in Tanzania. I know Socrates is in Ethiopia, but is more on asparagus and other vegetables for Europe. So this is a journey that took a lot of time because it is capital intensive, and operational capital is the biggest challenge, because all of us know that the African banks will always keep on disappointing you. When you want enough money to roll out an activity, they will always give you something tiny that cannot lift you up. Again, the interest rates are through the roof, and you might not even end up paying. So these are the challenges that we've been having in this business, because we need not less than 500,000 US dollars every month to process 30 containers or more. So really, we really must work very hard to acquire the operational capital. But all in all, I must admit, there is so much potential in agriculture, especially in value addition, and people should not fear the big investment costs. This usually deter many people from this work. But the biggest or the strong point in this one is how you organize the supply of your raw materials, and organizing the smallholder farmers so that you can buy from them, collect from different regions of the country. Once you master that, and you have a cropping package that is well organized, such that every 2 weeks you have a very big planting, and in 10 weeks you start harvesting. You have already planned how the crop is going to be collected from the buying centers. You have an arrangement of the trucks that will carry for you, of course putting in security measures, especially side selling by the drivers on the way, and with your team in the factory waiting for certain volumes, so that you can employ a team that is not going to be idle. It is really a lot of planning, which requires knowledge in logistics, because sometimes trucks will get stuck in the field with your vegetables. So you must know whether you buy refrigerated trucks or you put in coolers in the field where you can store your produce for a night or so. So logistical arrangement in transportation and aggregation is very, very key. We have also brought in service providers, people with their own trucks who are able to go different routes to collect and deliver to the factory. This is all not only done for the vegetables, but we also carry out for the other fruits, tubers, and vegetables that we grow for the domestic markets. We also add value to them and distribute. So we also procure from the smallholder farmers, sometimes through teams of market aggregators, whom we call market agents. And once they have supplied, we are able to add value and then distribute in the urban settlement. We have done this over time, but of course with a lot of challenges, and especially in our country where the infant industries are never protected. So you would be aggregating from smallholder farmers, and then a foreigner, even a white man, will come and duplicate the same thing that you are doing in our country. So because there is no protection, you really must be able to compete in order for survival in the market. But all in all, I must admit, a supplier must be very, very keen to who are the players in who support him, especially those who are, who are our market agents. They have to supply us according to the contracts and also the volumes specified, and they have to be very careful to who supply them. If it is the farmers no longer call them the evil brokers or the evil agents who come and they rip off the farmers, but they form very good relationships with the farmers and dress them as the founders of the markets. The farmers look at them as the most necessary people who run all over to get the markets, and they also support them with inputs, money, and they will employ the farmers' children to help in the aggregation. So these market agents that we are also bringing in the industrialization of vegetables are very key, and we are looking at them also growing up to be like who we are, because the market, the business is open. So one has to seriously know who are the primary producers so that they don't mess you up. Of course, there is side selling, uh, which can compromise the volumes to be delivered. And therefore, one has to be very keen that you support your farmers. At no time should they complain, because once they start complaining, they will sell your produce to someone else, and that must be avoided at all costs. And equally timing, so that trucks are able to be at the factory or in the market at the right time is very, very key. When we look at big markets like say Lugis in Paris, which starts at 2 a.m. and ends at 8 o'clock, people have really to organize themselves on the kind of vehicles to drive, the time, and also the produce to be carried. So it is the same thing here, that we must ensure you supply your customer on time so that the customer does not complain. And equally, it is what we do. The farmers are well organized. They know the delivery time. They know the harvest dates, and they bring all this to the center. And that is weighed. It is sorted out, graded, and whatever rejects are carried back by the farmer. But we don't encourage that, because the rejects really are the profit. They actually shift the profit margin of the farmer. So we must ensure production skills have been put in so that the farmer maximizes on the volumes, because you don't grow something that you feed to the animals, but it should turn out to be money. So once we add value to, say, the bananas, we are able to distribute them in the domestic markets. We add value also to avocados through washing, and packaging. We do the same to papaya, citrus. Then we deliver to our domestic markets, especially Nairobi, in the supermarkets and also groceries. The sterilized vegetables, we transport them to Mombasa for shipping, and from Mombasa they are carried all the way to Europe. The buyers are there waiting for the produce, so we must ensure the container reaches on time and it has the mix that is in the contract. And the Europeans, of course, want our produce, but again, let me admit, starting off from a commodity supplier to a value chain completion calls for a lot of keenness and sacrifice. I used to be a supplier from the a supplier field to somebody's factory, and of course that was what I knew best. So now that I've completed the value chain, of course, many times I have a lot of challenges in how to balance the factory, balance the field, balance the markets. And this is why I managed to get very qualified teams. I have a strong finance manager, strong factory manager, strong export manager. And these people are able to run the show even without my presence. And since I am best in primary production, I usually jump there to add value, back up the teams, so that at no time the factory would miss raw materials. So basically that's who we are. And unless if someone asks a question so that I may able to make it clear.
Absolutely. Yes. So thank you so much, Mr. Mudomi. Yeah, indeed, very, very, very good story of somebody who has actually grown from being a supplier to now owning a factory. I think that's what we actually call resilience. So because of time, I know he could have actually shared even other challenges that he has been able to go through, and especially on access to investments, the issue of side selling. And yesterday we had a question on how does one deal with side selling? And maybe Mr. Mudomi, you let us know how you have been able to manage that. But I want to open this time to anyone who has a question, and then we can have Mr. Mudomi answering all the questions. Feel free to raise your hand and go ahead and talk. I see Bernard, you want to talk? For the rest, just raise your hand. Bernard?
Yeah, just thank you, Gerald, for that detailed presentation. And I think it's very interesting to know how you have evolved. My question is, you said that you transport vegetables through Mombasa. How do you do that to avoid lotting and other kind of damages to Europe?
Yes, thanks so much, Bernard. I believe we can aggregate the question and then Mr. Mudomi can answer all of them. There is also a question from Abraham Solomon, how you're able to manage your cash without staff going in the field with huge amounts of money. So that's another question. Anybody else? Feel free to unmute yourself. There was also the question of how long did it take you, how long it took you to actually build this? I had actually seen that question earlier. Do you have anybody else, or we can answer those ones? Maybe Mr. Mudomi, you can answer those three questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sami. Let me first of all say something small about side selling. And side selling is a very backward activity which has been happening in the supply side. And generally, for us, we have recruited farmers, we have coded them, we have given them volumes, how much they are supposed to plant, and we know what we expect after the 3 months, or if it is papaya, we know in the 9th month how much to expect. If it is a crop of bananas, we can always know that an acre will give us, say, 900 bunches. So such farmers, because we have technical assistants who move around on motorbikes, they're able to monitor the farmers, and side selling is reduced to something between 5 and 10%, because every other day the technical assistant will visit the farm and he is able to do a projection. We have trained our technical assistants in such a way that they are experts in projecting the volumes that will be expected. So when the farmer goes below the projected volume, we will always raise questions. And should we discover this farmer has been side selling, then whatever you have supplied, we would knock off our support. And many times we also would remove him from the group, so that if he is doing side selling and the peak period for the agents is over, then it means he has nowhere else to deliver his produce. We have also gone a step further in ensuring the varieties of seeds that we give the farmers, nobody else will touch them. Again, we use the administration to help us in tracking those farmers who cannot heed to the arrangement that we have put on the ground. We also have the horticultural crops development that also assists very much in with the contracts, and so our contracts are very strong. At the moment, we are investing more on peer pressure, where the farmers will be there guaranteeing one another. And so it will be very difficult for a farmer now to run around to sell, even though many times they keep their produce in their bedrooms and then sell at the middle of the night. This is going to be reduced because the neighbor will know that a vehicle drove in at the middle of the night. So we have put a lot of measures, and also the government has worked very hard in this one, and I imagine side selling for supported vegetables might be an issue of the past. And let me tell the group that we don't transport fresh vegetables. We transport vegetables that have been processed. Our science of processing is a technology where we sterilize the vegetables in glass jars and cans, and we put them in barrel cans for 1 hour at temperatures of 125 degrees centigrade. So this is actual cooked stuff that we put into containers and then we transport to Mombasa. What we have sterilized can stick in the shelves for up to 4 years. This technology is able to ensure produce in glass jars or in cans can be on the shelf for 4 years. So we don't do fresh vegetables to Mombasa. Thank you for asking about how we manage our cash. Again, I should mention here, cash management is something that has been very, very tough on us, because you must know who are your creditors. You must know how to play around with the people who owe you money. and equally the markets in releasing the money on time. So that game of managing your debtors and your creditors has really assisted us, because the farmers will give us their beans for 14 days. The 21st day we pay them. So there we have a credit facility at no cost. The same with the buyers paying on time and even giving us advances. So we are able to have a cash flow all through. So it's very sticky issue on cash flow because of the high operational costs. But we also run to the banks seeking ODs, but the overdrafts have become very expensive. Equally, the banks have been giving us some revolving funds that we would use to continue the business, which are still expensive. Offshore financiers have been putting money to us, but because of the risky aspect of it, you find the interest rates are very high. So many times you're there processing and making money to the banks or financial institutions from outside the country. How long did I take to build this business? Let me say this was a very humble beginning, because I had one foot in the government and the other foot in business. And on top of that, I had nowhere to inherit big monies to start the business. My father was a Mau Mau fighter who fought that very good war, and he left the forests and only to come out without anything. He only ended up with 2 acres of land, where us, we could not manage to get any living, anything from the farm. So we hadn't needed to start from scratch. And this is a country where there's so much of capitalism being practiced. So if you don't do your things right, you lose everything. So we've taken more than 20 years to get here. And I thank God, all this, the resilience, we have seen divine assistance. We have seen God really working wonders, supporting us, supplying us, giving us favors and His mercies, even when things have been very bad. And really, we are grateful and prayerful every other moment. Samuel?
Yes, absolutely. So thanks so much, Mr. Mudomi, for sharing your story. To me, it's always an inspiration, and I always wish other entrepreneurs can actually listen to it. And I'm sure perhaps even as the days goes by, we'll get a one-on-one with you for the businesses that are here, so as you can be able to share your inspirational journey. What I got, and something that we have been saying here, cash flow is key. And one need to actually ensure that that one is working well if actually they want to grow. So thank you so much, Mr. Mudomi. We really appreciate your time, and I believe for the remaining 2 sessions we'll be with you. So as anybody here can actually interact with you. I see a question coming in related to program. So we may want to hear from the African Union, who will be dispersing the grants to you, what actually you need. But just a reminder, the application is on. I believe everybody now do have the links to the applications, both for phase 1, for phase 2, as well as for the grant. And mine is to encourage you to apply as early as possible, because we're doing, we'll be actually looking at this application on a rolling basis. So if you can help us with that, it will be good. Also, the advantage of applying early is we are actually going to give you comments on your pitch decks, on your website, as well as on your videos. And I'm sure some of you who have been able to apply have been able to receive comments from me. The other one, somebody asked, is it a must we have a website? Yes, for phase 2, we require you to have that. It's easier. We did take you through how to prepare a free website. So those links are actually on the Mighty Network. The other one is, will we get the certificate? And yes, we'll actually organize certificates for all of you who have been able to participate, and more so, those who have participated over 75%. So in our next class, we should be able to tell you how you have been performing. Otherwise, Teko, maybe you can take to the stage and share with us and also close for us the meeting. Thank you so much, and see you on Tuesday for restoration movement in Africa discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Please tell me if you all can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is the one of the pivotal thing about the whole Land Accelerator cohort is where we actually pay you the monies. You will receive your money from the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. And so you will receive this form that you will need to complete as I know it's a vendor form, but the only way we can pay you is if you are a vendor to the organization. So please complete it to the best of your ability. And if you do encounter a problem, I would advise you to fill it with your banker. Especially here, I know in some countries, like you can have here as a Bank of Malawi, and then here have the maybe the Chase Bank or JP Morgan in the United States as the corresponding bank. So it's pivotal that this form be completed in full, and the information provided to be as correct as nothing short of error. So majority of you, we don't have a big cohort from South Africa. This one of VAT number, if registered in SA, specifically applies to those that are in South Africa, because we are an organization that is based and registered in South Africa, much as we are a continent-wide. Our headquarters are here in Johannesburg, where I'm sitting. So one of the other thing that will be very important will be this one called the proof of banking. So it's a confirmation of a bank account from your account. And in this case, as you can see, this is my the letter from my bank confirming my bank account. We advise that you ask your banker to help prepare for you. It's not something that you'll be able to prepare it by yourself. If you have a stamp from the bank, be in your banking letterhead. So the last form that you will get, it will be this one, whereby I know it's pretty simple. You will think, okay, this is just the one that I complete one thing. On this one form, you only complete your name, and then you send. Just like Samuel is also advising on the applications. We are very lean team. At the AUDA, I'm the one who's working fully on the Land Accelerator. So I will be getting 100 of these, and if yours is incomplete, imagine having to go through all the incomplete ones and trying to follow through with who did not complete it properly. So give it your time, the best of your attention, and no divided attention when you are completing it. So this will be one of the 4 forms that we need. It's this one, which is the supplier form, accompanied by the proof of banking from your bank, accompanied by this vendor registration form that you're filling, and a copy of your biometric passport or ID number, if ID card, if you are based in South Africa. So those are the four forms that we will require in order to pay your $5,000. And so thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you can ask for now. But as Samuel said, we will also try to our best to have the organization print and sign the certification of attendance. We know that it means a lot to many of the companies throughout the continent. I will make sure that it's stamped with the seal of the African Union and that one of the African Union Development Agency. So if there is anything, please shoot me an email. My email address is tekoh@nepad.org. So it's tekoh@nepad.org. And I know many of you have probably seen that even my cell phone number is on the internet. I'm a international civil servant. I work for the continent, so all my contacts are not private. So do reach out if you need to reach out to me, or you have a question. I have typed my email on the chat as well. It's tekoh@nepad.org. So thank you very much. If there are no questions, we will see you on Tuesday for the last class, and I will negotiate to the best possible with WRI, Flash, and all the other folks that are helping us implement the Land Accelerator for that extension. I know the lockdowns in all the countries have made the success of the presentation and everything not to be that easy. So don't rely on the extension. Try to be creative and get everything out as soon as possible. And yes, so good luck. Mamani Sain, I believe you have a question. You can proceed and ask. Mamani?
Excuse me. Sorry, can I ask a question, please?
Voilà, donc j'ai deux questions. La première question, c'est à Samuel, parce que je lui ai envoyé un mail hier. Vous pouvez parce que et les liens de mon compte Facebook. Donc,
Monsieur Mamane, j'écoute pas.
Il a réussi ça ou pas? Ok.
Monsieur,
donc,
monsieur
on m'a dit.
Parlez lentement, s'il vous plaît.
Ok, d'accord. Ok, donc ma première question, c'est à Samuel. J'ai envoyé un formulaire à discussion. Je voudrais que Samuel me confirme si j'ai mis des liens vidéo et les liens. Donc, ma deuxième question, le formulaire que vous avez donné là, pour le paiement là. Donc, c'est des formulaires électroniques, non? Donc, maintenant, les banques là, donc, on va amener avec notre machine pour eux, pour qu'ils nous, comment on appelle ça, pour qu'ils nous remplissent le formulaire, ou bien on va leur donner la version électronique pour qu'ils signent, qu'ils écrivent tout ce qu'ils devraient écrire et nous donner pour vous renvoyer, ou bien comment est-ce que ça va se passer. Merci.
Okay. Unfortunately, I could not hear the first question. But yes, the forms are electronic, so you'd be able to email them to your banker, or you can go with your laptop. to the bank for them to assist you complete it. But I think if they issue you the proof of banking, that proof of banking has all the information that we require on the vendor's form. It's just that there might be the corresponding bank information that you might not get on your proof of banking. But it's advisable that if you can't furnish the vendor's form by yourself, that you please seek help from the bank. So on the issue, one issue that's still remaining, yes, I had promised to get you all the electronic copies of Looney's books. Procurement at the African Union is not as swift as I would like. So definitely, even beyond this class, you will get the link to those resources. So we have your contact details, and I'll get them to you upon successful procurement thereof. Now I see we have another
Yes.
hand from.
Yes, maybe Checo, if it's okay, because I see we are on top of time. Maybe what we can do is, because we still have the networking session next week, we may want perhaps to utilize that to answer all project-related questions. But as well, I would kindly advise that let people read the program announcement, because some of the questions that are being asked here have been explicitly explained on that document. So kindly read them. For what Teco has shared, if you didn't understand, don't worry, because this is a procedural arrangement, and we'll definitely, once your project has been approved, we'll definitely request you to fill some of these forms. So don't feel pressured. We will actually take you through. So everybody will ensure everybody actually get their money. For Mamane Seini, in terms of the confirmation of your application, if you have clicked submit button and no challenge, consider your application delivered. It's unfortunately we did not put that feedback. Amanda is away, otherwise we could have actually added to it. But we respond to all the applications that have been done. So no big worry. We'll definitely sort you guys out. We want to respect all of your time. So if it's okay, we can call it a day now, and we meet on Tuesday, when we are going to have a discussion around restoration movement in Africa, as well as kind of a closing ceremony for phase 1, and also share direction on how we are going to engage further for those who are not going to proceed to phase 2. Otherwise, thank you so much, and do enjoy your evening or your afternoon, and see you on Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Samuel, are you going to send the link or?
Sorry, Million, the link to what?
Okay, Samuel, bye-bye.
Okay, bye everyone, and thanks so much, Mr. Mudomi, for sharing your story today. Okay, bye.